Hey guys, it's Jamie bringing you Recovery Inspired Hope. And today I'm here with my very good friend Rachel Gibson. She is the
Special Assistant Attorney General for Dfcs
here in Athens, Georgia. So now Rachel, tell me, what is the Family Treatment Court and what role do you play in that?
So we have an accountability court in the juvenile court to help families who have connections with Dfcs and who are struggling with addiction to receive services and support and accountability so that they can parent their children and begin their recovery.
Great. So now, where does your passion for families in recovery come from?
So I've been doing this work for about 20 years, and unfortunately most of my cases involve addiction. And the numbers have increased as the years have gone on, and we've seen new drugs enter in our community. Before it was cocaine and alcohol, and now it's meth and heroin in addition to cocaine and alcohol. And we weren't having a lot of success in helping parents regain custody of their children and children to be reunited with their parents. And so we were feeling pretty hopeless that there was a way to help families be successful if addiction was the circumstance that led to separation in the home. And we started to hear about accountability courts and that they could make a difference in people's lives. And so that's when I began my journey in learning about recovery and the process of recovery and what recovery is and how it helps people heal and have the tools to be able to be successful in managing the stressors and the trauma of life that's led to their addiction and that separated them from their children. And I started to see families reunited and people transformed when before those were my hopeless cases. And I think we really saw a turning point too when we started losing parents. People were dying from their addiction and kids didn't have parents anymore, and we wanted to make a difference. And as I've done this work, the cases I'm most passionate about are substance abuse, because that is a situation where we have something to offer families to help them to heal and to help them to have access to services so that they can have hope and be able to parent their children.
Yes. Now you've seen, being in the business you've been in for 20 years, you said, you have seen the shift in the recovery movements. Now, how have things changed in the way that things were handled before as opposed to now in the family court, accountability court, Dfcs, before to after the great recovery movement that's happened?
So we started our treatment court, I think it was 2013, and I didn't know a lot about kind of the outside recovery movement as much because we just worked more like with treatment and services like through the community service board like Advantage or other treatment centers. But we started to be educated that it was more than just going to treatment. It was engaging in community and building up your network, and that the partners that we had in the community were the most important. Because if people were going to be successful beyond the court monitoring them, they had to be tied in. In fact, we were talking about this last night in a meeting about how important it is for people to engage in community and have their support networks once they're done with Dfcs, because we're there to give them all this support and then we drop away and what is left is what they've built. And so we have seen a tremendous increase in people's success when they are fully engaged in things like PLR and Divas and AA and Celebrate Recovery and all the other pathways that people have to build their networks.
Yes.
And so they have been a great partner to us, and I know that if someone is accessing those services, they have a far better chance of being successful than if they're trying to do it by themselves. So we need that partnership.
Right. And we were talking earlier about the recent, the cuts in the budget and things like that. And we're so grateful for Governor Kemp. We're so grateful for Judy Fitzgerald for proposing this new fiscal year 2021 to not take away our funding totally, but there still are some cuts coming up. And how do you think that is going to affect recovery?
Oh my goodness. I to be honest, I'm really nervous about the future, just because I think more and more people are struggling. And we're beginning to see that ripple into kids entering foster care and kids being out of the home because mom or dad can't care for them because of their addiction. And I don't think those numbers are going to go down. I think when people are under this much stress, there's this much pressure and uncertainty, and there's isolation, we're going to see more people struggle with addiction or relapse and go back to old ways. And so we need even more support for those families so that we don't see kids separated from their parents or separated from their family unit because of addiction. And so I know that our budgets are going to be cut for family treatment court, and I know it's affecting access to treatment, and it's going to have an impact on children, and it's going to have an impact on families. And I don't know that that's the intended consequence, but it's going to be a consequence because we need all the support we can get. It is money well invested, because if we invest this now, we're going to not have all the issues that come from untreated addiction and broken families. So that's my perspective. So I'm grateful for all the investment that the state has made already. I mean, I feel like Georgia is a leader in the nation in how they've responded to the addiction crisis, and I'm really proud of the work that Georgia has done. I've been super impressed as I've learned more and more about what's going on around the state. I'm super grateful for the perspective of understanding the community partners and their role. So
yes, it is heartbreaking, the impact, because I mean, I know, I working at Divas, I'm a peer wellness coach over there, and seeing the women come in, I do the recovery massage, so I get to talk very closely with women who are involved in family treatment court. I've got to go to graduations and everything, and seeing them reunited with their children. It's like, this is the goal. Yeah. This is the goal, because in the past, our perspective as people with substance use disorder, where Dfcs has had to come in and remove the children, get involved, we've seen Dfcs as a negative, and now there is such a transition in stance where we are united together, working on the same team, and that is just so amazing to me.
Yes. Well, I think I want folks to understand the resources that the state wants to offer folks through Dfcs. That the goal is always to reunify and to keep families together. What can we do to prevent removal? What can we do to keep families intact where kids are safe? And there are so many doors that Dfcs can help families open that may be hard to navigate. This is not an easy system to enter.
Yes,
and especially with family treatment court, I think we're able to help people figure out where they need to be and who they need to connect with. If they have any special needs, any needs for medically assisted treatment, or managing their mental health treatment, or managing medical conditions that have often impacted their addiction, and knowing how to access therapies that are going to be the most effective, and just other barriers that folks can have to maintaining their recovery. And I think if folks would recognize that Dfcs is not the bad guy, sometimes we're the thing that starts the access to services, because folks are kind of called to a decision when we get involved.
Yes, accountable. So, you're holding them accountable. Call out. Either
until,
rise up or get out.
Until they can hold themselves accountable, we're going to hold them accountable. So.
Yes, and we all need some accountability in our life.
Definitely.
Okay, so what can we do, like, as people in the recovery community, to help the process in the judicial courts to be more effective, so it's a win-win for all of us?
I think it's really embracing those folks who are coming. Sometimes we require everyone to do community support meetings because we want them to understand what's out there beyond us. And sometimes people don't quite understand all that is offered through the community. And so I think if folks in the community will reach out to and embrace those individuals and help them see all that's available to them, all of the support and encouragement and family and fellowship that's there, so that they understand they have a whole network of people who care about them and care about their children. Because those are the folks who are successful. Those are the folks who we don't see again. But the folks who go and they kind of check it off, but they don't really want to engage in any kind of community stuff, I see them again. Right. And that's not good.
Yes.
And it's tragic for their children, because it's really hard on their kids. And so I think if folks who are already established will really understand how much these folks need the additional support and encouragement, and to be invited in to the community and included, that would be helpful.
Okay. Awesome. And what advice would you give someone whose children have been separated to them due to substance use disorder or alcoholism?
They need to give family treatment court a chance, because a lot of folks have had experience with other accountability courts, DUI court, felony drug court, and that's a very different model than ours. Our model is not based on whether you've been arrested for something. Our model is based on your children. And our focus is all about your children and about you as a parent. And unfortunately, those other courts don't have that as a focus because that's not their purpose. Right. Their purpose is to help someone break the cycle of incarceration and arrest that's caused by addiction. Our focus is to reunite families. And we're always mindful of a person being a parent and what it does to the relationship with the child. And so I think sometimes there's a fear of an accountability court because they compare it to being in felony drug court or DUI court where you go to jail. Well, that's not our focus. Jail's not our focus.
Right.
Getting yourself, where you need to be in terms of treatment and recovery and connection, and most of all, connection with your children. That's our focus. And so I would encourage people to be open when, I know I talk about it at every hearing at the beginning of a case when addiction is the reason the child was removed. You should consider our family treatment court. And I will advocate for people to get into family treatment court because I think it works.
Yes.
I think it's someone's best option. And so, but sometimes there's just a fear, or someone knows someone who's been in accountability court and that person went to jail a lot, and they have just perceptions of what we are, and they won't even check it out. And so I would encourage people to at least check it out, to at least meet with the coordinator, to at least come in when we come back to in-person, to come and visit, and just to give it a chance instead of writing it off and saying, well, I'm so afraid of going to jail, I'm not going to do it, or I'm so afraid of this structure, or I want to work. Well, it's great to have a job, but if you don't have your children, your job's not worth it. So, being open-minded to the support we can offer, because if someone is struggling with addiction, this is the most support you can get to get your children back. And I hope people take advantage of it and not be afraid and not feel like people are out to get them. And I think if you talk to any of our participants, they would tell you, that's what we did yesterday, that's what I did Tuesday in talking to participants. We are on their side, we're trying to help them, but they have to let us help them. And so I think it's that extra level you need within that process to know that people are cheering for you and they want you to be successful, and no one is trying to take your children away. They want you to parent your children. They want the children home with you. Trust me, that is very true. We know kids thrive when they're with their parents. We know they thrive in their home environment, and they thrive when they have a healthy parent.
Yes.
And that's what children need, are healthy parents.
Yes.
So that's what we're all about, is helping people be healthy.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for being an advocate. Thank you for being for recovery.
Oh, yes.
Awesome. And this is the wonderful, beautiful, talented Rachel Gibson. Yay.
Thank you so much, Jamie, for thinking about including me in this. And I hope it helps people have a little bit of a different perspective, or understand what family treatment court is if they ever hear about it.
Yes. Thanks, guys. This is Jamie T for Recovery, bringing you recovery-inspired hope.